Fletcher was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
All right, it's a beautiful Saturday morning on Global Television, and it's great to be here. And people will say, thank God it's Saturday. There's a time for you to just reflect, rest, and just, go for weddings. They say Saturdays are for weddings and, of course, lots and lots of celebration. It's great to be here this beautiful Saturday morning. I am Jumai Manson. Today on the program, we're just going to delve into the newspaper review segment and then, of course, talk about some important issues like confiding in parents. Very important. But of course, we'll talk a bit about politics, which is very important on the program Global Morning. Do not go anywhere. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
You are welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television, and it's great to be here. I'm so excited. I'm smiling from cheek to cheek because I have a very special individual in the studio with me, my very good friend. We've been friends for a very long time. No other person than Zipporah Peters.
Hello.
It's great to have you. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Good.
You know, when I said, Z, you have to join me on Global Morning, it's very important that you join me on the newspaper review segment because, you know, you are the one that likes giving us details when it comes to issues making round. Like, you read some very dark, and I saw it. Like, Z is always following on trending stories, current issues. How are you doing today, girl?
Well, I'm fine, and I'm so happy to be here today with you, Jim. It's been a while, actually.
It's been a while, really, but we always keep in touch. We know how we keep in touch.
Sure.
All right, today we'll just delve into deeds and what is making round and all of that. Let's talk briefly about the case of this very dark man before we go into political issues making round, talking about issues like these issues with the banks. A lot of people are coming out and saying a lot when it comes to the deduction. People say they're actually paying for what they did not even spend.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy because sometimes if you want to make just a small transaction, the amount they deduct, it's crazy. You begin to wonder what's happening. What's happening?
Really?
And for him to complain, I think it's fine. It's fine because so many people are coming up, to talk about it.
A lot of people.
Like, have you been silent about it? Now somebody brought up the issue and you're like, oh, okay, let's talk about it. We are youth. And so many youth, like the people who have it will say, they will say, okay, you're just youth. How much is your money in the bank? How much is even your money?
But it's my money.
The entire money, the whole of your money. How much is it? Okay, so but the little money we have there, when 1 naira is deducted out of it, you become concerned because it's a constant thing.
Yes,
it's happened every day. Why? Why? So people need to talk about it. And when Very Dark Man came up with this issue, I was like, wow, that is it. It's good to bring it up. But then arresting him and all that, I actually don't know exactly what really, they were looking for. But I saw a video when he came out. He was like, they thought I have money. The little money I do, I help people with, it's debt. I was like, looking at him and like, do you collect debt to help people? Like, I begin to wonder. Like, but it's fine. It's good that he brought up that issue. Actually,
it is, and of course, his real name is Martins. Is it Martins Otis or Okwe or something like that? But at the same time, a lot of people are commending him, while others are actually frowning and saying that he's not a bad example when it comes to youth and all of that. But if you look at it, we say that he's actually fighting for justice when it comes to issues like. But this is what has to do. We all go through this every single day. We all have bank issues. We all see the deduction that happens. We all see all of these because I did a transaction this morning and it was like triple. I saw 3 things, tax and whatever, and I was like, what is going on?
My colleague yesterday was crying.
What is going on? Like, seriously, what is going on?
She said someone said 10,000 to her. So she was about to go withdraw that 10,000 and then she discovered that the money became 9,000, almost 9,000. Like, what is the remaining money?
Exactly.
And she was like, I said, probably you used another bank, not yours. Actually, she said yes. So I said, I've stopped that long time ago. I've stopped that.
Because of the deductions
deductions. I prefer to go for, the POS and get my money. Because I feel when you want to transfer or you want to withdraw from another bank, you'll be charged like almost like 700 or so. Because I discovered that was the day I did that, and I was like, what happened here? And yesterday I was telling her, she was like, wow, she almost cried that day because that money wasn't even hers. She was trying to like transfer it somewhere, and this happened.
It's very sad.
It's sad.
A lot of people go through this sort of issue when it comes to bank, when it comes to issues of transactions, whatever. Even if money is coming into your bank or you're withdrawing, there is a deduction that's going to happen. It doesn't matter whether you're using it or not. But I think the needful needs to be done. And this is an eye-opener for all the banks to see that people are not sleeping anymore. We're very much aware. And a lot of people will not stay silent. A lot of people have kept quiet for a very long time, wallowing in this pain. But at the same time, people are coming out to actually say to themselves, this cannot continue. There needs to be a stoppage when it comes to issues like this. But it's not a problem. Let's quickly go on a very quick break. Zipporah, thank you. You are amazing. I'm glad you're doing this with me today. Let's go on a quick break. Next is the newspaper review segment. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned. Right, you are welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning. It's a Saturday, a beautiful Saturday, and it's the newspaper review segment at about this time. And the first paper we're going to be delving into is the Saturday Vanguard. And above the nameplate, it says, "How doctor stole one of my twins during birth." And it says, Abuja housewife narrates. And it says here, there are two riders. It says, identified alleged stolen child during immunization. And then accused doctor opposes request for DNA test, enjoys police cover. And still above the nameplate, it says 2027, Atiku may want to run again, but will it help opposition? And you can find that read on page 9. And of course, here it says his ambitions, of course, the rider, we have two riders there. And it says his ambition are fracturing opposition politics, that's critics. And it says, how does ex-VP's potential candidacy affect price of gari, rice, tomatoes, or onions? Atiku's aide fires back. Okay. Okay, is he trying to be? He's trying to be sarcastic. And it says NNPCL Dangote moves to settle rift after months of rivalry. And below the nameplate and the star story there says terror attacks. Army general explains sudden resurgence. And it says here, new Pope's connection to Nigeria, the white smoke from Chicago. And you can find that read on page 18. AMVCA stars dazzle tonight. And it says now over to sports and politics on page 30. It says what Shuare told Odegbami. And it says here, native doctors, kidnappers, scammers flee to Asaba. If you're wondering, Asaba, Delta State. And you can find that read on page 10. And the writer says Solido's crackdown in Anambra hurting them. Of course, we will all see that Solido is doing an amazing job when it comes to fighting crime in Anambra State. And of course, let's look quickly into this story that says Army General explains sudden resurgence of terrorists coming out. You wonder, a lot of unrest in areas when it comes to Benue, Plateau, Kaduna, Southern Kaduna, Zamfara. A lot of resurgence. Will we say that our security agencies are not doing the needful when it comes to trying to curb this? I think the more they try, the more the resurgence. It's so sad when you hear lives that are taken, and there's no exemption when it comes to women and children. It's just unfortunate.
It's everybody. It's quite unfortunate. Why is this still happening? Like till now, until now, why is this still coming up? This issue is supposed to be buried long time ago.
Everyone says
so
that.
Why is this still coming up? And people will begin to say a lot. People begin to say a lot because it has to do with why this particular area, why this particular session, why here. You get Plateau has suffered this for more than 10 decades or so. So why is it so? So you begin to wonder. And talking about women and children, nobody cares about that anymore. I think they don't really care about that now. They feel they just deal with everybody like, let's just go. Like, why? Why? If you look at it, you begin to say maybe these people are not from Nigeria or something.
People say that. A lot of speculations that these individuals, these terrorists, are from Chad, from neighboring countries. It's just unfortunate, but you know, it's really, really sad. And another story that caught my eye says how doctor stole one of my twins during birth. Abuja housewife narrates, and she says she identified the stolen child during immunization, and then accused doctor opposes request for DNA tests, enjoys police cover. Just unfortunate that we see these sort of things. But I think the needful needs to be done. And if truly that's one of her twin child, the needful needs, the DNA test must take place. And he says he's enjoying under the guise of police cover. So what are we trying to...
Will I just say corruption is what is killing us? Let's say corruption. Because how can someone in his right senses do a thing like that? You know, taking a child away from the mom.
People do that. Of course, that's
I
where
see that in movies, actually.
it happens in real life. It's
So-
just unfortunate. People do it for, like I said, people find the get quick term when it
Get
comes
rich,
to get rich quick
Quick.
term. People, that's it. You know, there was a time on Global Morning, I was discussing one of my colleague, and there was a story that made rounds. A teenage boy, and he says, at night in a very familiar place in Lagos, at Idimo at Lagos, that what they do is they actually apprehend individuals who walk late at night and they kill them. And he was asked, how much were you given to actually take? He said sometimes 50,000 naira.
Oh, no. Oh,
100,000 naira, and that's it, sometimes 50, 60.
Unfortunate.
And that's where we are now. A lot of people out there just feel that is the fastest, as long as I eat, I have
So you
something in
take
my
it.
tummy, you take. But that is not the right way. I just feel a lot of reorientation needs to be done when it comes to issues like this. The government has a lot to do. And some will say, Jumai, we do not leave everything in the hands of government. We all have our part to play. Yes, I know, but the government has more to do when it comes to empowerment,
youth
when it
empowerment,
comes
yeah.
to, yes, exactly, youth empowerment, when it comes to engaging these youths, when it comes to skill acquisition. It's not everyone that has the head.
A lot of youths have potential. They have great potentials. They want to do something, but there's no. They are
They're
constrained
handicapped.
because there's no money to venture into any business. You have an idea. There's no money. There's nobody to sponsor you. So it's very hard out there. It's very hard on us, on the youth, because I'm used to, so I say on us. Because if you ask me, do you have an idea? I say yes. I have 1,001 ideas, but how am I going to implement those ideas? How am I going to put them to use if you don't have what it takes? What it takes to get there? How is it going to be? You know, so you begin to look at the government and say, yes, you need to come in, engage the youth, do something, help us. We need you. We need the government to help the youth, because I know a lot of youth have ideas. They have business ideas. So many people have things to do, but they are constrained. They cannot do it.
And that's where the issue of drugs and substance abuse. I don't want to
But
deviate.
because how can you just take a life for a peanut? Do you get? So
but
it's
to him, that's a lot of money.
at
that point, oh
50. How can 50 can you can spend 50 just in a minute?
And that's what I'm telling you, for him, if that's a lot of money, because he doesn't understand the gravity of what he has done. He doesn't know. He thinks, maybe in his mind, he thinks it's just a norm, because that's what the society in which he is at the moment. At that point in time, he feels, well, that is what happens on a daily. So it's like the conscience now becomes dead, because it was there. Someone said, snap out of it is one of those things. And he just says, okay, well, it's fine. But it's just unfortunate, and that's why there's so much rise when it comes to drugs and substance abuse, because they need the youths in our society. They need a lot of orientation. They need help from the government.
Yes.
They really need to be engaged.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, now, without much further ado, the last story that caught my eye, it says native doctors, kidnappers, scammers, flee to Asaba. And then you can find that read on page 10. And it says Solido's crackdown, a number hurting them. Yes, Solido is not sparing anyone. He's going all out when it comes to trying to curb insecurity in Anambra State. And
I love that.
Of course.
I love that.
It's the way forward.
It's really working.
But the thing is, it's affecting another state now when it comes to Delta State, Asaba. People are fleeing there.
As their
These
neighboring
kidnappers.
states.
Native doctors, because they feel it's more subtle, they can operate from there. But I pray this particular initiative will actually touch every state, so that
every governor will start doing something.
Exactly,
like that.
insecurity and all of these threats to life can be curbed.
Yes.
All right, the next paper, we will delve into the next one, which is the Guardian, Guardian Weekend. And above the nameplate, it says NNPC diversifies as Tina Bulk conversion unite to birth Unity shipping. And next it says time to prepare for war on truth. That's part 1. Intrigues in Kano, APC over Kwakwaso's planned return to the party. And we see a lot of defection happening, lots of defection. So we're wondering, and people are like shocked, what is going on? Are we trying to become a one-party nation or something? But we will see.
I feel that way.
You feel that way, right? But at the same time, let's just see how well because most of people that individuals look up to are actually defecting.
So what's happening?
It's tough to see, but
Yes.
we're wondering what is going on at the same time. Everyone wants to be at the winning party.
Yes,
And
the
the
winning
ruling
party,
party,
the
the
ruling,
ruling
yes,
party, the
the
ruling
ruling.
party. But at the same time, let us see. Is it a one-party system? Let's just see. Let's just see
How it goes.
how it goes. And then, of course, below the nameplate, the Star story on the Guardian says, despite penalty clause, public officers defy asset declaration law. And you can find that read on page 8 and 9 of the Guardian. And here it says, prioritize uniting a fragmented world. Catholics urge Pope Leo XIV. And you can find that read on page 2. Why JAMB withheld results of 39,834 UTME candidates delisted for 4 centers, Oloyede. And you can find that read on page 2. Now, Nigerian's logistics sector will worth over $3 trillion by 2030, says Minister. And you can find that read on page 3. And here it says, Coterie initiatives in Nigeria, a welcome development, says Tinubu. And you can find that read on page 36. Now, one of the stories that actually caught my eye is why JAMB withheld results of 39,834 UTME candidates delisted 4 centers. On the day of this examination, a friend of mine called me and said, Juma, my daughter just tagged you and so many of our friends on Facebook crying her eyes out. She wrote a long epistle of how during the examination there were no data to function, and even when they came up on board it was bad. Even when they tried to log in again it was bad. And then at the same time the center was nothing to write home about. And this particular incident happened in Jos. And then, of course, parents, you're worried when a child comes in who has been reading for a very long time, comes in and is crying and telling you this is what it is. She's going to fail. That they're not going to impute her results because of data issues, and the center, not just heard about some other centers there in Jos had very bad issues. And you think to yourself that the needful should be done. At least it should be something that the JAMB office should actually investigate, and so that it will not fall back on, because it's not their fault.
It's normally like I would say when it's during elections, right? You find out that gadgets are failing. Like things are just like that in Nigeria. I don't know why. Yet, like if the thumbprint, the thumbprint machine was not actually working well. If you ask so many of them, they will tell you about that.
Very true.
And it wasn't really capturing well, and all that. So I think those things should be put in place. Whenever there's something like this, they should prepare very well. I know they used to spend a lot of money to prepare to get set and get ready for the exams and all that, but you will discover that, you will find out that at the day of the exams, you find all those lapses, those things coming up. Why? I think they should do more.
I think, Deborah, it boils down to the question is, are we ready for the CBT Center? Are we actually ready when we have... During our time, we had the manual. We had the get your HB.
We didn't have issues. Just to find out your paper type and just do your work.
Exactly. So should we have something like a subsidiary, like something like we should have that in case? Because gadgets will definitely fail.
I'm not ready. Let's do manual, because so many children,
I think we're not,
study well. They study hard. They study to to make sure that day became come out well, or everything will just go well.
Exactly.
But then why is it that the let me just say the JAMB itself it's failing them?
And then when my family friend decided to follow it up, she went to JAMB office to complain and said this is what is going on. Her daughter's the center there's no data, this and that. And that you have to come to Abuja. It's not the fault of JAM, it's the fault of the fact that there is no data. But I think though if you look at it critically, it's not the fault of JAM, it's the fault of there is no data service. There was no network at that point.
That is what we are still talking about.
Exactly. But at the same time, I think there should be some considerations.
Sure.
That's why there is massive failure. Have you seen the results?
Yes, I've read
the results. Yes, exactly. Massive failure in JAM.
Something to
and this could be a contributory factor. That's why there is so much massive failure. Because most of the names on that particular database are not imputed because some of them couldn't even write the exam. So I think there should be a review because, this sort of thing can cause depression. I know some kids do not take failure lightly.
Never.
But they don't take it lightly, especially when they have done their best and done, or I can remember during my day when reading for exams, I take it very seriously.
Very serious.
I take it very seriously. I don't even think about food. I'm not a foodie anyway, but okay, now I am. But I take it I take it very seriously. Like when you're writing exams, it's something that you just, and there are some children who know that, okay, this is it. Because some would think, oh God, I'm done with secondary school, I need to rest. But some say, no, I have to take the bull by the horn.
Yes.
This is the next phase of my life. So,
yes.
And then when this sort of thing happens, it can lead to depression.
So many of them take it serious. But there are so many who are waiting for such opportunities. Just as, we're seeing it like, no, it's a disadvantage. Others are seeing it as an advantage.
Freedom.
Yes, because I understand. Some people don't like to read.
No.
Of course, yes, they don't want to read. So when that happened, they see it like, wow, this is it. The result, yes, let's see. Maybe something will change for me.
Exactly. Anyway, that's why they say different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Well, let's just see how well it goes, and we hope that JAM, UTME, they look into it because this failure was massive. It was a lot compared to, and this has been on for about 10 years now. So if you look at the track records, but unfortunately, this is what it is. But let's go on a very quick break. Global Morning returns with the newspaper review shortly. Stay tuned. All right, you're welcome back to Global Morning on Global Television. And of course, this is the newspaper review segment. And we'll continue with the Saturday Times. And above the nameplate, it says Bill Gates to give away $200 billion, says Marx, killing world's poorest children. And you can find that on page 6 of the Saturday Times. And it says, ASU union struggle not for bread and butter, Ajero. And the Star story there says IED explodes near mosques, injures 4 in Borno. And you can find that read on page 2, talking about insecurity, right, Zipporah?
Yeah.
Still talking about insecurity. Now, Tiwa Savage delivers captivating performance at Usher's O2 Arena. And of course, we know the rumor speculating about Tiwa Savage and Usher having a thing in a relationship. Let's just see how well that plays out. We're going to follow on that news. I really need to know. But they make a fantastic couple, though. But Usher he has a lot of issues. But let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes.
Seriously.
And it says, NCAA sanctions Kenya Airways for consumer protection violations. And you can find that read on page 10. FCTA prioritizes water for satellite towns, allocates 140 billion naira to education. Well, I think that's a step in the right direction. I said we don't prioritize education enough in this country.
Yes.
If you go to some urban areas, Zipporah, you will be shocked that their children, as I speak to you, still have their lectures under the mango tree. You'll be shocked.
I have a story like that. I wanted to write a story like that because in one of this, let me just say, in our neighboring, let's say they are sharing boundaries with Abuja, right? So you may think, this one, they should have a standard school, right?
Exactly.
Okay, then it will shock you. What I see.
It's just unfortunate
It will shock you.
It's just unfortunate that we see things like this still ongoing, that their children that are in schools and the learning process when it comes to not being habitable for teaching and of course learning at the same time. I think we should prioritize more education. It's very important.
It will have to do with the quality teachers that you have. And if you want to have quality teachers, you have to give them what they're supposed to raise their pay. Pay them well. Then you get quality teachers. That also will help in the aspect of education. Why we don't take education serious in Nigeria is because of that most times. Let me just say that's one of the reasons we don't take it serious. Like some people feel my children should not school in Nigeria. Okay, if that's so, why? They think it's not qualitative enough. It's not good for their children. Okay, then let's prioritize education. Just like you said, our government is listening, is seeing what's happening, so the government should do something about it. Prioritize education in Nigeria. Make that sector a sector that many people would envy. Even other countries would also envy that. Then that's, I think that would be a great idea.
And the way forward, basically.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, I always mention, like, my colleagues would tell me, I always talk about health. I always talk about all of these sectors are very important.
Very
Everyone
crucial.
intertwined because it all has to do with humans, especially, well, like I said, we do not prioritize. We should. There's some that we should prioritize more when it comes to health. I could say, in a way, it's like we're just in the middle, but at the same time, truly, health is important, education is important, because you are giving back to life. It's very important. And these are future leaders. They are the ones that will rule, and it's very important that we give the best.
Garbage out, garbage in.
Garbage in like that. And the truth is, we should, all sectors are important. We should prioritize all. But for education right here is something that I think it's the way forward, and it's a step in the right direction. And then, of course, on the foot of the Saturday Times, it says 20 fear dead as gunmen attack set ablaze vehicles in Imo. And of course, there was an amazing, when it talks to the Hajj pilgrimage that happened in Imo State, the Imo State governor and a lot of Sultan of Sokoto, most dignitaries were there yesterday at Imo State. They all converged at Imo State. Of course, the aircraft, airlift pilgrims to the Hajj for 2025, amazing. And now you hear this. It's just unfortunate, and we just pray that insecurity is nipped in the bud as soon as possible. All right, now the last paper that we're going to delve into is This Day newspaper, and it says above the nameplate, it says OT to convert new government house built by Ekpeazu to 5-star hotel. Okay, and did she just say well? That is it. And it says here, Afrim Bank reports U.S. aid suspension deepens Nigerians' fiscal challenge. Of course it will. And that you can find that read on page 5. UTME JAM releases result with holds 39,834 plus. That is a lot. And here at this, one of the star story there says, at first Mass, Pope Leo XIV says, Church must bring light to world's dark night. I am sure this Pope has seen his predecessors. They've done a lot.
Yes.
Pope Francis, may his soul rest in peace, has done a lot when it comes to uniting and bringing individuals together. It's worth celebrating. It has to do with the Christian faithfuls. And I always say anything that has to do with religion, has to do with God is very important. It doesn't matter if you Muslim, Christians, let's just all celebrate together. The most important thing is that God sees us as one. So we should see each other as one. So in the Catholic denomination, it's cause to celebrate, and we should be happy. And I hope the Pope tries as much as possible to unite and bring light to this darkness. Okay, a lot of things are happening in the world. And of course, the rider that says new Catholic leader to be formally installed May 18th. Nigerian Catholic Bishop Atiku Obi Tugger Amadi congratulate Pontiff. Yeah. And it says here PDP woes worsen as 3 Kebbi senators defect weakening rescue mission. Like I said, what is going on? The defection is real. It is so real. It is so real. And then that's all we're going to take on the newspaper review segment on Global Morning today, talking about this. And of course, I didn't do it alone. I did it with my very good friend, a very beautiful person. She's a friend indeed, really. Not a person that Zipporah Peter.
Hi, Bill.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful. Yeah, thank you so much for doing the newspaper review segment with me. Okay, I'm sure we're going to do this again. Definitely. And of course, it's still Global Morning. It's Global Weekend. Yes, it is Global Morning Weekend today, Saturday. And just sit back because I have another guest who will be looking at. Let's talk about family today. We've talked about politics, so let's just take a breather. Let's breathe and talk about family, how it's good for teenagers find it hard to confide in parents. Okay, do not go anywhere. The program continues shortly. Thank you, Zipporah, for being a part of the program again.
Thank you for having me.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, bye.
Disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Know that you cannot talk about a healthy nation if you don't have means to produce your own in addition to importing.
The CG is the principal actor of this because it's within her jurisdiction. Minister is a supervisor.
That we must run in accordance with the Constitution of CAN, where you have just a single time.
The human factor, you have the infrastructural factor, then you have the mechanical factors.
The Senate, with all due respect, they were so hasty in passing that judgment.
The statement I'm about to make is we're not even aware.
That is the future.
You have to be aware before you can begin to be prepared.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable...
Welcome back, and it's still Global Morning Weekend on Global Television, and the part 2 of the program. Well, I'm not doing it alone. I have Mrs. Ifensimi Ijeri here. She is a family counselor and of course an evangelist, and she's here with me. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to have you on the program.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, for those of you wondering, have you ever thought about why your teenager doesn't confide in you? Or why he or she finds it hard to relate when it comes to issues, pressing issues, and prefers what we call the social media or peer groups? Now, as a parent, these are questions you need to ask yourself. And of course, Mrs. Ifesimi will be breaking it down a bit for us today, why teenagers find it hard to confide and trust their parents when it comes to issues of life. These are people that you should look up to. These are people that have been there before you. So why is it so hard?
One of the things that make it hard is our lack of consistency.
Okay.
We have to understand that being reliable builds that trust. Now, you know, as I know, that when trust is broken, it's so hard to get it back in place. So basically, it's to strive to be consistent, and of course, life happens. So when you can't keep up, honestly explain to them. They will understand.
Really?
Yes, they will. But it's when we leave that place of explanation and we overlook how they feel or how they will react, that gap causes all kinds of things. They are human beings. They have emotions. That gap causes all kinds of things to grow. So to make sure you don't you avoid that gap, strive to be consistent. When life happens, explain to the child.
But I want to ask a question. I think there was this program I did on radio back in the day, and I was will I say fortunate to speak with some teenagers all around, and they said, Auntie Juma, you won't understand. My parents think they've never done any wrong in their life. They feel as if they've been all right from beginning till being a teenager is nothing. But they make it look and they make it feel as if it is. They make it look so hard to tell them stuff because their life is so perfect. And do you think as parents, we do not tell our children the truth when it comes to when you're going to scold that child? Okay, listen. You tell the child, you won't tell the child that, oh, I've had 100% A's when I was in school, I did so well. But you tell the child that, hey, listen, I want to tell you and teach you something. When I was in school, I had to resit 2 exams. And because I don't want you to toll in that direction, explain to the child that it happened to me. And the reason why I'm so hard on you is because I do not want you to go through the same thing I went through. Do you think sometimes we paint ourselves as holier than thou most of the time to our children, and that's why they run away from us and they seek help or solace elsewhere?
You know, the biggest mistakes we will make is not to have communication with our children. So many of us have gone silent on our children because of the pressures of life in our relationship, in our workplace. We are looking for validation.
True.
And we have now left that gap, that silent gap. But as long as we actively communicate,
okay,
now, and actively listen to the child to validate their emotions, we won't lose them there. Because the truth of the matter is, your child should learn from your mistake, not make the mistake. So why allow your child make mistakes that you will have easily
averted?
So it's for us to communicate more as parents. Talk. Talk.
And keep talking.
And keep talking. And, you know, I'm not saying shout. listen, eye contact, acknowledge their feelings, whether they are sad, whether they are happy. Acknowledge it and offer support. But you know, most times the child is talking to us and we're not even listening to the child. So we as parents really need to calm down and practice active listening, eye contact. So you read the child's eyes. You're talking to a child, you're not even watching his emotions, you're not even, you don't know what's going on, you don't know, because you're not actively listening and making eye contact with that child. You know, so by the time we practice that intentionally, the way we intentionally pick our clothes to wear, we intentionally picked these clothes to wear, we picked the hair.
Yes, we did.
We can pay attention to our legacy. So how will we keep joking around with our legacies? So we parents, we need to buckle up.
I like the fact that she said parents need to buckle up, because we're so distracted with the things of life. Like you said, a lot of parents don't even have the time to even look at the child's emotions or the eyes or something. They feel, oh, the thing is, I have to get it done, I have to put food on the table, I have to ensure your school fees are paid, I have to ensure that you look good on your uniform, but they're not paying attention to the emotion of the child, making it hard for the child to confide and tell you issues that are pressing to their hearts. Oh my goodness, to that parent out there who is struggling and saying to his or herself, how do I break this bond and try as much as possible to communicate with this child? Is it too late now?
No, it's never too late. The first thing you need to do is learn to put yourself in that child's shoes. So I was talking to my kids the other day and I asked them a very important question. I said to them, if there's anything in this family you want to change, what will it be? And they said, we want a girl. They are all boys. And so I began to put myself in their shoes and I realized, oh, they hear me talk to my brothers. They hear me talk to my sisters. My sisters share their food with me. My brothers share their money with me. And they are just boys. So who's going to share food with them? You know, my sisters cook. The other day, one boiled corn, and shared for everybody. They'll take it around everybody's house. The other day, I went to see my younger sister. And she said, oh, I bought this kulikuli for you. So they see me coming home, and I will say, oh, Auntie Vida, Auntie Ima, Auntie Blessing gave this to me. You know, so, you know, we parents really need to bring ourselves into the shoes of that child. If you were in the shoes of that child in that circumstances, how will you react?
Yeah, that's food for thought. That is food for thought. Always put yourself in the shoes of that child so you always know how to react. And at this point, we have to wrap it up on the program, Global Morning Weekend. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program with me. Mrs. Ifensini Jerry.
Thank you so
and
much.
Of course, she is a family counselor and an evangelist. And let's see, my tongues are being tied. All right, but it's great to be here. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. And of course, Zipporah Peters was here on the program earlier on. I am Jumai Manson. Have an amazing day. And she said something very vital. Always put yourself in the shoes of that child so you can communicate better. Have an amazing day ahead. And from Mrs. Pensini and I, we will say bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASIS strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.